Welcome everyone to another night review. Today we have the redesigned 2022 Lexus LX 600, and in this night video we're going to take a look at all the exterior lights, the new interior ambient lighting, and get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get going. Alright y'all, so redesigned for 2022 is this new Lexus LX. We're going to start with the exterior lights. Here you still get this massive grille, and this is the F Sport model with the F Sport grille, but you're going to get Lexus's triple beam LED headlight standard with that L themed daytime running light right up underneath. You'll also get the LED fog lights down there, as you can see, and these do come with a cornering function, which I'll detail and show you in a little bit. LED blinker, which takes up part of that running light, and we'll talk about how well these triple beams do as well. Taking a full run at this body, you've got the marker light in the back, LED signal in the mirror, marker light up front, and the standard running boards there. Very familiar body style to before, even though this is completely revamped, and this is the atomic silver paint. If you want to see more details on this LX, be sure to look in the description soon, because I'll have a full review coming out after this in the daytime. But this is what Lexus calls their Blade LED tail lamps. When it's really dark and all you really see is the light, these are pretty menacing. Big long light bar in the middle. It is an amber color blinker and the L themed tail light, plus you've got the LED license plate light. And let's look at the brake and reverse lights. If we open that up, take a peek back here. First of all, you've got illuminated controls right up overhead. Plus, it looks like we get a big LED light to the side here. It lights up this cargo area good enough. And you get the overhead light, which is for the second or third row up there. So cargo light, not great, but not bad either. You also get illuminated controls for your folding seats. On a six-figure luxury vehicle, I'd maybe expect another light on the other side, but that's just me. Now to look at this atomic silver, it's got a little bit of beige in it, and it's got some metallic-y flake in it as well. Got a little chrome on the door handle. Even on the F Sport, there's a puddle lamp on the back seat, plus ambient lighting in the back seat, which we'll talk about. And take a look at these F Sport seats with the red semi-aniline leather. I think it looks nice. You've got illuminated AC controls back here as well. Plus you've got all LED interior lighting up overhead, so you're set. One nice thing that you've probably come to expect with a lot of vehicles, especially luxury vehicles, is that they now have approach lighting. So check it out. I just approached the vehicle. You've got Lexus that actually portrays on the ground from the mirror. Plus you've got a little ambient light or light that lights up that, that running board there. So if I get close enough, that mirror will pop out, running board lights up. That's pretty nice. And with a quick look inside, by the way, that lights up on both sides. Our particular model gets the little F Sport illuminated door sill, which looks nice. We've got more ambient lighting in here, which I'm going to go through. Different themes, overhead, LED lighting, and these nice red leather seats. But let's dive in. All right, y'all, we are hopping inside. Let's go ahead and start it up. Push button start, nice illuminated start button right there. I'm gonna go through the different features, the different lights in here, basically kind of focus in on the lights and do full review in my next video. But over on the door, first of all, you got memory settings. Those are nice and illuminated right above the ambient lighting. All of our controls down here have a little glow on them too, which looks nice. Window controls, mirror controls, all of that. Not a single button missing a light. Even the door handle gets a little bit of light. Unlike some vehicles that get illuminated bottle holders, this one does not, but we do have some footwell lighting, as you can see down there, whatever color you want with your theme. As for the steering wheel controls, these are all a white backlight. Very familiar Lexus feel as far as the layout and the design. Those can be adjusted, the brightness, as well as these buttons over here, with the brightness control button right to the left of the steering wheel. So you can use either of these to adjust the brightness of this display or the brightness of the buttons in general. This display is actually standard. You do have a few physical gauges, 4 physical gauges, and then all digital in the middle. This isn't totally customizable. I mean, there's a few different things that you can customize, like whether you want to see the range or MPG, and this is just reset after idling basically here, 1 mile, so don't mind the MPGs, but there's some information on here. It's just not as dazzling as you'll see in some other luxury brands, but this is the LX. I mean, this thing is part off-road capable too. Right up overhead, you'll get a good size head-up display with a lot of information on it, and you can turn it off if you want to. Moving over to the main screen, you got over a 12-inch screen. You've got illumination for your power button, but the button doesn't actually have like an illuminated ring around it. I'm really surprised by that. Like older vehicles have a little illuminated ring around them, but this one doesn't. It's kind of weird. Start stop button is always illuminated. And then Lexus gives us Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless, completely wireless. It can take up this whole screen if you want, but let me go to some settings on here primarily. So we hit the little gear icon, go to vehicle customization, go to lights. This is where you can adjust your headlights just a little bit, nothing extravagant, daytime running lights, things like that. Then we go to illumination, and this is where we get some of our ambient lighting. So first of all, let's go to the themes. You've got a bunch of different themes over here, and it ranges from like white colors to orange, red, bluish colors. And then you can go to a custom color and make it whatever color you want. So essentially you have unlimited color choices and options. Let's just kind of leave it on like a reddish color. Let me show you where everything is. So there's some ambient lighting down below the in the center console pocket area. The cup holders even get some ambient lighting in both cup holders. Both footwells, the doors, the lights on the doors. Aside from that, overhead you'll see these two little lights. This one and one right over there. They're very subtle, but they help illuminate your center console as well. So for example, I have this camera tuned in to where it's pretty darn close to the real life brightness, so you get a good idea. You can see the little glow right here. Let me show you the difference. If I cover that up, so it does actually give you nice little glows, which are very much appreciated. These overhead are not adjustable from what I can see, but you could always cover them up if you want. The one big kicker with the ambient lighting though, first of all, before I talk about the big kicker, you can do it by zone, so you can have all zones be the same brightness, or you can go by zone and do the front, like the doors, the footwells, or the rear passengers, because they have it too. But here's the biggest thing of all. This is a setting that can be optional in many different cars, but watch, when I put it in gear, even just in reverse, everything dims down significantly to where you can basically almost not see it. It's a real disappointment on Lexus's part that, as far as I can tell, is not an option to keep the ambient lighting on. Going to drive as well, ambient lighting is so dim, you don't hardly even notice it. It's like the ambient lighting is really only designed if you want to look at it while you're sitting here. But for just a minute, let me show you a couple other settings here. So let's go to Iceberg. So I'm gonna get this nice bluish tint to it. I'm gonna go to Meteor. It's gonna give you a purpley color. I like all the different options in here. I just really wish you could have this while you're driving too. It's seriously such a disappointment. The ambient lighting is on every trim except the base, at least the themed ambient lighting. This display below the main display is actually your like driver info or your vehicle information display. You can even see things such as your climate control. You can adjust your fan speed on here just by sliding your finger. You can still see all the climate information there. You can even adjust like the vehicle lowering up and down. I'll talk more about that in the full review. It's kind of cool. It's a really unique information display. All illuminated controls down here for your climate controls. Same thing with your drive mode, your off-road controls. You've got your off-road controls like multi-terrain select, your crawl control. Pretty cool. Downhill assist control, ambient lighting down there. All your comfort buttons like your heated steering wheel, things like that. Nice trim around all these illuminated buttons too. The vehicle height adjustment buttons, traction control, locking differential, your brake hold button here too. And I definitely like the illuminated cup holders. Those are a nice little twist. Plus you get a couple illuminated charging ports over there. Open up the glove box. It's kind of jammed full, but there is a light in there and it's soft opening. There's an automatic dimming rearview mirror standard on here with garage controls, but you can get a digital mirror on the top trim. I already talked a little bit about the overhead controls, but let me go ahead and turn on these lights. This is all LED. They have a nice light, slow turn on, and then they're touch sensitive, so you can just quickly turn them on like that one at a time. Otherwise, They light everything up pretty well. They're pretty darn bright in here, and they light up even the center console well, as you can see. But seriously, am I the only one that is disappointed that the ambient lighting goes to basically nothing once you put it in gear? It's really disappointing, especially at this price point. Then the other thing is our center console literally has zero light in it at all, but you have this illumination here because it's a cool box. It's like an integrated cooler, and it's probably why it doesn't have lights. It's not as big, but it can be a refrigerated section, and you can use your overhead lights. Now let's take a look at these headlights and watch this. So these triple beams are auto leveling, but they are not adaptive side to side, and they auto level because the vehicle height can adjust. But just the low beams, very strong beam pattern all the way across. I mean, all the way to the edge of the building, all the way over to that other tree and beyond. They have a very wide spread, which is excellent. High beams, super bright spot in the middle, and it's pretty high and pretty wide as well. One of my favorite features is the cornering function. So if you start to turn or you just signal your blinker to one side, you're gonna get some really bright illumination immediately next to the vehicle, and it goes pretty far out there. That is really nice, even though we don't have the adaptive side to side lighting. Now watch this. I'm raising us up from normal to height number 2, and I'm curious to watch what these headlights do and how well they actually auto level. So now we're in height 1, it's on its way up to height 2. You can see the headlights moving, and they just drop down. So it maintains that with the auto leveling headlights. Now as we span off into the distance, and I apologize, I don't have the same lens I typically do to get the far reaching distance, but it illuminates that hill well. You can see the lights travel all the way to the bottom of the hill to cover up those red posts, and even on the driver's side where there's the dip, it still gets onto the hill. So these headlights have a very good distance and great beam pattern, and it illuminates this entire hill pretty well. I'm excited to check them out. All right, y'all, we are behind the wheel of this Lexus LX now, and we're gonna talk about how these lights do, try out the automatic high beams, and get on some dark roads in a bit and show you just what it's like to drive this at night. I'll talk a little bit about some of the other details in here, but we'll switch camera angles a couple times so you'll get a close-up on the headlights. But in case you missed it, once you put it in drive, the ambient lighting gets super duper dim to where you really don't even notice it. It's kind of a bummer, but I'll talk about the engine and transmission and all that more in my full review, but let's just get some pedal down. What a delay. But once you get going, this big bodied SUV gets moving. It is body on frame, no more V8. We've got a 3.5 liter V6 twin turbo from Lexus here, over 400 horsepower and pound-feet of torque, so it's potent. But right now I have the fog lights on, I have the regular headlights on, LED, they're all going to be LED, and they are very bright from where I can see right now. By turning on the automatic high beams, they already turned on. All you got to do is push a button at the end of your headlight stock, and it will be the automatic high beam function. So it's not deterred by the overhead street lights, which I like, because sometimes you'll want the high beams on automatically without just trying to shut off because of other lighting. Real quick, automatic dimming rear view mirror is standard. We also have automatic dimming side mirrors, both of them. That's great when you got those bright lights behind you or those lifted trucks with the high beams in your head, in your face. That makes a big difference. And car came around the corner, high beams turned off, car went by, high beams turned on. Perfectly done. Another car came around the corner, high beams turned off, and high beams just turned back on. So those have been perfect so far on video and outside of video as well. Haven't had a problem with them. All right, y'all, we're now getting on a dark road, and even going around this corner, the cornering light turns on. It's a really nice function. Turn your blinker on, you get good illumination. But high beams are on automatically, very bright, light up down there really well. I'm gonna go just to the low beam so we can see how this beam pattern goes out into the corner. And it hits that corner very quick. As soon as we leveled out, those beams are out there right now. Let's see how it is going around a corner. And we have a little extra illumination tonight with the moon and the property lights around us. but that corner was actually pretty good. Not a real big dark spot like in some vehicles. Even though we don't have cornering lights, we have such a broad beam pattern. The low beams are reaching way out there, and now the high beams, fantastic. I could drive anywhere with these high beams. These high beams are very impressive right now. Now I'm going to see how the low beams do again going around the corner. The corner is fully illuminated even up the street. That looks really well, really good. High beams on now again. I'm going to leave the automatic function on for a sec. Going around the corner, I really like these headlights. They're doing a very good job. Even though they're not adaptive, I don't know if they need to be. And that street light did not turn off my high beams. I like that. I definitely like that. Now I'm going to go just the low beams. Distance is good, especially in my lane. Now I'm going to turn the fog lights on. We can get some peripherals. These low beams are actually already fairly wide, but the fog lights add a little bit next to the vehicle if you're going to use them outside of foggy conditions. Turn the high beams back on, and they are wide and high and bright. You can see a long ways, but we're going to get to our little dark corner in a second. Even with the fog lights off, as I start to turn, I get that illumination to the side. Excellent. So low beams right here light up my whole path ahead. A couple vehicles I've had out here, it's like I can't quite see as far as I want to. High beams look great. Now going down here, as we get some brush next to us, you can definitely see just how much light there is spreading out with the high beams. Now the low beams, still nice and wide. I really like that. And the cornering function in here is just phenomenal. I wish we had adaptive lights to actually do some far distance cornering, but watch. If I just turn my blinker on, it lights up pretty much 90 degrees out from the vehicle, maybe even set back a little bit. Just excellent. But overall ambiance in here, I like it. I just wish we had it while we were driving. Don't you? I like the gentle glow here. I like the screen lighting adjustability. It's easy to use. The head-up display is there if you want it. We've got automatic dimming mirrors. It makes for a really nice experience. But Lexus, please give us the option of keeping the ambient lights on. What do you think? Leave your comments down below. Watch the full review if you want to see all the details, and have a great night. We'll catch you later.